No, no, I must go to YouTube again. I mean, you're putting words in the mouth. No, no, no. Yes, no, I mean, I think it's she said, sorry, I'll Google it. Yes, that's it. What was it? Yeah, yeah. So quite sensible. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I remember watching sort of the terrible
Yes, please stand. The instruments were duly prepared and delivered to the courts, but were left on the desk of an officer who was ill today. So, Murphy's Law, I'll bring them to you, Governor, and you can administer.
I, Margaret Ramsey-Hale, do solemnly and sincerely declare that I be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God. I, Margaret Ramsey-Hale, do solemnly and sincerely swear and declare that I will well and truly serve His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, and the people of the Cayman Islands in the office of Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands, that I will do right to all manner of people according to the law, without fear or favor, affection or ill will, so help me God.
By virtue of the power and authority vested in me by sections 95(3) and 106 of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009, and by subsection 1 of section 6 of the Grand Court Act 2015 revision, and of every other power hereunto enabling, I have constituted and appointed, and by these presents do constitute and appoint you, the said Margaret Ramsey-Hale, to be Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands, with effect from the 25th day of October to the 11th day of April 2031. Given under my hand at Georgetown, Grand Cayman, this 25th day of October in the year of our Lord 2022, in the first year of the reign of His Majesty King Charles III. Distinguished members of the judiciary, distinguished members of government, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and privilege as Governor of the Cayman Islands to officially swear in our new Chief Justice, Margaret Ramsey-Hale. The swearing in of a new Chief Justice and the first woman to hold the post is indeed a historic occasion for our jurisdiction. It is fitting that we are marking this moment at this televised ceremony this afternoon, attended by so many dignitaries from across our islands. Let me firstly congratulate the new Chief Justice, Margaret Ramsey-Hale. I was delighted to accept the advice of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission to appoint Justice Ramsey-Hale to the post. As ever, I want to thank the JLSC chairman and his colleagues for their diligent and careful deliberations. Chief Justice Ramsey-Hale is an outstanding appointment, warmly welcomed across our islands. I know she impressed the JLSC with her commitment, ambition, and vision to take the administration of justice in our island to a new level. She has my full support and that of all who work in the judicial administration, as well as the support of all of her judicial colleagues. It is a sign of the quality of the judiciary on our islands that the JLSC made an appointment from the bench in Cayman. That is testimony to the quality of the candidates, but also a strong signal of confidence in the Cayman Islands, where our independent judiciary plays such a key role in our rule of law and democracy. Indeed, the strength of an independent judiciary underpins our success in financial services and more widely. So I know that I speak for everyone here and across the Cayman Islands when I wish our new Chief Justice every success in her new role. Many congratulations. Let me also thank once more our outgoing Chief Justice, Sir Anthony Smellie, KCMG, for his outstanding service over the last 24 years. And I'm sure it is a modern record, Chief Justice. During your tenure as Chief Justice, the volume, the character, and extent of the judicial work in the Cayman Islands expanded enormously. The judiciary doubled in size. The number of licensed lawyers increased fivefold. The size of the judiciary and the number of licensed lawyers in Cayman exceeds several of the independent and larger countries in the Commonwealth Caribbean. You have shown exceptional judicial acumen through the quality and impact of your judgments, which stand out impressively. And you have worked tirelessly to the end, only very recently launching the new Cayman Judicial and Legal Foundation. For your achievements, you were rightly awarded a knighthood in Her late Majesty's birthday honors. That was greatly merited. We are grateful and highly appreciative of your contribution. So let me just conclude by wishing Sir Anthony the very best for his next endeavors, and I'm sure there will be many, and congratulate our new Chief Justice on assuming this most important and fundamental role in our jurisdiction. I look forward to working with her in my remaining 5 months in these wonderful Cayman Islands. Thank you very much.
Oh, please be seated. I thought you were going to march all the speeches from the bar. That's not what the order says. Not what the order of events says. I will let you know that Sir Anthony remains the Chief Justice until midnight. And because he is still Chief Justice, I thought he would remain in his role as moderator of this afternoon's session. But he has decided to see if I can swim. So swim I must, and I'm going to chair the rest of the proceedings by inviting the learned attorney to make a few remarks.
Thank you. I am now sorely confused. I have in my speech here, Madam Chief Justice. So I suspect I should say Madam Chief Justice Designate.
Still? Well, it's but the
Madam Chief Justice has a very nice ring to it. And so I was hoping to just end it.
I'm told by Sir Anthony that that is the correct way to address me at this moment. Even though, in my own view, his birthday doesn't end until midnight.
I shall be guided accordingly. Madam Chief Justice Designate, outgoing Chief Justice Sir Anthony Smellie, KC. Happy birthday, sir. Honorable judges of the Grand Court, Honorable Chief Magistrate, Honorable Magistrates, His Excellency the Governor, Honorable Premier, Honorable Deputy Premier, Honorable Deputy Governor, Ministers of Cabinet, Madam Solicitor General, Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Richard Barton, on behalf of the President of SILPA, colleagues at the public and private bar, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to offer remarks at this momentous occasion, the swearing in of the Honorable Justice Ramsey-Hale as Cayman Islands' new Chief Justice. As one with a close collegial relationship with your late father, the legendary jurist, Mr. Ian Ramsey QC, I have had the distinct privilege of witnessing your ladyship's incredible accomplishments, experiences, and ascension in judgeship. With a career trajectory spanning nearly 25 years of experience in diverse courts across the region, it is without question that you are now a seasoned judiciary professional. Your legal and judicial career, I think, has its genesis at 53 Church Street in Kingston, that famous set of chambers, and carefully made its way to Montego Bay Family Court as a judge, and with a stop on the RM Court in Montego Bay, eventually onto the Cayman Islands as a magistrate, chief magistrate, an acting Grand Court judge, followed by Chief Justice in the Turks and Caicos Islands, before ultimately returning to the Cayman Islands, and now at the pinnacle of the judiciary. Indeed, your ladyship's scholarship on the bench is quite impressive, as demonstrated by the many excellent judgments you have written in just about every area of the law, including commercial, criminal, family, immigration, employment, among others. All judgments of superlative quality, including your seminal ruling on the 4th of June, 2018 in the Turks and Caicos Islands in the matter of the Integrity Commission versus Kike Kavaris, in which you authoritatively clarified that the Integrity Commission did not enjoy a plenary power to issue summons to third party to produce documents, but rather can only do so in connection with a formal inquiry. A ruling with which the Privy Council, in concurring, had this to say. It follows that I agree with the conclusion of both the Chief Justice, yourself, and the Court of Appeal that the Commissioner's power to issue summons to a third party to produce documents can be exercised only in connection with the formal inquiry under Section 46 of the ordinances. There lies ample reaffirmation, if we needed any, of your ladyship's eternal vigilance to civil liberties. But your leadership's versatility transcends the delivery of fluent and clear judgments. Indeed, we are all aware of your involvement and your interest in areas such as judicial and legal education, your thoughtfulness, sensitivity, and untiring advocacy on behalf of children and vulnerable persons within our society, including those afflicted by mental health and drug addiction challenges. Like your judgeship, your other accomplishments are noteworthy. The first female to be appointed a puisne judge of the Supreme Court of Turks and Caicos Islands. The first female to be appointed as that island's Chief Justice. Today, as the outgoing Chief Justice noted, another double. You have accomplished another first, becoming Cayman Islands' first female Chief Justice, to the absolute delight of us all. I say delight because I need no corroboration in proclaiming that you are universally liked and admired by colleagues and friends alike. As successor to another distinguished, well-loved, and admired legal luminary, Sir Anthony Smelly Casey, there is no one better positioned to continue and improve on his legacy, which includes over 30 years of excellent and transformational stewardship as both Judge and Chief Justice of the law and justice in the Cayman Islands and in the wild Caribbean to quote His Excellency, the Governor. My lady, I pledge the full weight of the chambers of the Attorney General in partnership with you as you take on the mantle of Chief Justice. You also have the good fortune of having first-class judicial colleagues at the Grand and Summer Court, as well as excellent support staff. And so as we say fond farewell to the esteemed and visionary Chief Justice, Sir Anthony Smelly, we are heartened and delighted that you're an old friend of the judiciary, with the right blend of caliber and gravitas to perform this very important national role. We are confident of the profound impact you will continue to make on the Cayman Islands justice system and the benefits that will inure to the jurisdiction as a whole because of your leadership. You are a living embodiment of how to successfully combine a busy and illustrious career while raising a family, something to which your children, Matthew, Sarah, and Lauren Amor can happily attest as they revel in this proud moment. We warmly welcome you as our new head of the judiciary. May it please you.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. I don't think I will get through this session without crying. Is it unjudicial to cry? I've lowered it for my compassion, so maybe I'll be forgiven if I am soft in this moment. Counsel.
Your Excellency, the Governor, Deputy Governor, distinguished members of the government, and distinguished members of the judiciary. May it please your ladyship, Madam Chief Justice, together with all members of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, I congratulate you on your appointment as Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands. And I look forward to working with you and to assist you and to support you in ensuring an efficient and effective criminal justice system. In saying congratulations to you and welcoming you to this role, I acknowledge the outstanding and long-standing service of Sir Anthony, who sits beside you. My lady, it is with great pleasure that I say these few words today. Prior to considering what it was that I was going to say, I noted from the announcement of your appointment that it was your extensive legal knowledge, significant leadership, together with your vision, passion, and commitment to strengthening our judicial system and rule of law that have put you where you are today. Those attributes, and I'll be talking about attribute for a few moments during the course of this short speech, plainly combine with all of the usual and necessary facets of a Chief Justice, namely patience, integrity, impartiality, and fairness, to name but a few. It's also plain that those attributes have seen you become the First Lady Chief Justice in 2 jurisdictions, as has already been mentioned. And I echo what's already been said by the Attorney General. A remarkable achievement. We all know that for someone to excel in such a way, there is more to you and to those attributes which I've just mentioned. The Cayman Islands law reports and the Turks and Caicos Islands law reports were my friend for a few hours and days as I did my research, and they've assisted me with what I needed to know. There I was able to read some of the judgments which you have delivered month after month, involving orders for for the sale of land, the intricacies of commercial leases, the sensitivity which you attached to declarations of children as wards of court, the compassionate but firm approach required of you in immigration matters, the independence which you displayed in dealing with breach of constitutional rights, providing and I'll be careful with these next few words, succinct summary of the issues relating to declarations of trusts, overcoming the complexities of multi-million-dollar commercial litigation, and even, if I may say so, getting to grips with exceptional circumstances arguments in firearms law. To quote the ancient Greek word poikilia, P-O-I-K-I-L-I-A, the judgments I read demonstrate your multifaceted abilities and hard work ethic to address a wide variety of legal issues at the very highest level. Out of court, as the Attorney General has just mentioned, your involvement in numerous extrajudicial engagements which you have undertaken over the years. For instance, in training workshops to do with criminal procedure reform, domestic violence, and special measures for vulnerable witnesses, further demonstrate your passion for the law and advocacy. Accordingly, in addition to those attributes I mentioned a few moments ago, it's plain, from my reading at least, that your remarkable achievements also can be measured by a number of other attributes, which I'm going to add to. Your common sense, the fact that you act with compassion and firmness in the same case, your hard work ethic, but also because you appear blessed with a deep grasp of the law, in addition to a sharp intellect and quick wit. It may not surprise you to hear that those last few characteristics were also attributed to your late father, who I am sure would have been so proud of your achievement in becoming Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands. Finally, this, I am confident, entirely confident from everything I've seen and heard, that you will bring all of these attributes, which I have mentioned, to your appointment as Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands. And together with all members of the Office of the DPP, I wish you well with your new role. I look forward to working with you, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. DPP. Mr. Barton. Thank you.
It's being televised. The President of the Cayman Islands Legal Practitioners Association, Mr. Eric Bodden, is unavoidably absent. I have been asked in my capacity as fellow council member to deliver this speech on his behalf. Madam Lady Chief Justice, honorable judges of the Grand Court, honorable Chief Magistrate, honorable magistrates, honorable Attorney General, Madam Solicitor General, my colleagues at the bar, our special and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. If it may please my lady, as President of the Cayman Islands Legal Practitioners Association, I have been afforded the very distinct honor of being invited to make a few brief remarks on this very special occasion. The formal swearing-in of the Honorable Justice Margaret Ramsey-Hale as the next Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands. This being the first time a legal association in the Cayman Islands
has been given this privileged opportunity. There are, of course, many reasons why this is a distinct honor. The most notable being that the opportunity to witness and indeed provide remarks at the swearing-in of a Chief Justice in our jurisdiction is not something that comes around very often. After all, the outgoing Chief Justice, Sir Anthony Smelly, KC, held the esteemed post for approximately 25 years. I would be remiss if I did not ask us to pause for a moment at this significant juncture in our legal industry's history to recognize the years of exemplary service dedicated to our jurisdiction by Sir Anthony. To say that his contribution to the Cayman Islands legal industry has been integral to its growth and development over the last 25 years would be an understatement. Sir Anthony, as your torch is passed today, we simply say thank you. And with that, it gives me immense pleasure to be one of the first to acknowledge and welcome our most honorable, Her Ladyship, Chief Justice Margaret Ramsey-Hale. I first met Chief Justice Margaret Ramsey-Hale at the now Truman Bodden Law School many years ago. Her Ladyship at the time was a visiting lecturer. As many of you know, she taught the tutorials for the first year criminal law course. I should mention that I had quite a few colleagues in the years ahead of me that warned me about Her Ladyship's class. So in the lead up to my first tutorial, I made all attempts to adequately be prepared. In reality, however, nothing could prepare me for the first. Her Ladyship's presence and willingness to engage with the students was remarkable. And we left that courtroom on the first day with a sense of purpose and stark realization that in her tutorial, there was no hiding in the back of the room. Her Ladyship's tutorial proved a failure to prepare was preparing to fail. She would always reward those who were prepared in advance with incredible anecdotes of her own experiences at the bench while making references to cases that were being discussed. We could only be impressed and wonder if we could ever, one day, be as impressive. 2 years after surviving Her Ladyship's tutorial, I called on her yet again. I was convinced that I wanted to become an advocate. And after researching the CVs of some of the more prominent junior barristers in England, I recognized that a good number of them had undertaken some form of judicial clerkship. So I wrote to the Chief Justice, Sir Anthony, then Chief Magistrate Ramsey-Hale, and the late Justice Quinn, and requested an opportunity to sit with them for a short period of time to experience, as it were, life from the bench. They accepted my proposal. I tell this story all the time. On the first day of the clerkship, I entered Her Ladyship's chambers and we sat down and forensically examined the facts of the most complicated matters listed before her that day. "Young Bodden," she said, "what are your thoughts on this case? You are one of my best students at the criminal law course, so don't let me down now." No pressure. We then entered the courtroom, this exact courtroom, in fact. I was flanked by Her Lady's side and was given the opportunity to witness from Her Ladyship's perspective submissions from counsel and responses from the bench. Her Ladyship was stern but fair. She had compassion, but also a no-nonsense approach. not only with respect to defendants, but also with respect to the attorneys. Her leadership effortlessly maintained absolute control of her group. I have no doubt her leadership will continue to maintain this distinct and admirable approach in her new role as Chief Justice, and that in accepting this torch, she will continue to impress and engage our legal community and jurisdiction as a whole. With that said, it only remains for me to formally echo the remarks of the Honorable Attorney General, the Director of Public Prosecutions, and to congratulate her leadership as the new Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands. Please go.
Thank you, Mr. Button, and thanks to Eric for such a wonderful speech. Is it my turn? Oh. I'm still looking to him for guidance. I would like to start, and I don't know how I'm going to get through it, but I would certainly like to start with thanking His Excellency, not just for his warm words of support and his expressions of confidence in me, but I would also like to express my gratitude to his having consented to and breaking tradition, the tradition of swearing in judges and chief justices in the governor's office and allowing me to be sworn in public, in the open, in the courts where we do our business. For me, it was very important, symbolically, to be sworn in the public view. This is where we work. So I'm deeply grateful to you, sir, Governor. And can I just say that I regret that our start was inauspicious. I thought that the governor would immediately say, well, that's the last time I'm doing that, since we can't even get the oath on time. But thank you very much, and for bearing with us until we got the oath together. I would like to recognize the members of the cabinet who are here, many of whom are long friends of mine. My acquaintance with these islands started in 1998, and then it became my home. And throughout, you'd have thought it was the first time I was becoming a Chief Justice. This is not my first rodeo. And yet, might I say, as I look at the members of the cabinet and I look out into this courtroom and I count the faces of the friends I have made since my appointment to the bench here in 1998, it is overwhelming. This is not an appointment to another court. This is an appointment to my home court. Yes, I am Jamaican, and that's where I grew up. But there's something to be said by raising your children in another community. Then you enter another phase of your own growing up. And for me as a mother and as a woman, the years I spent in Cayman raising my family were my formative years, as much as my years in Jamaica were. So I will ask you to forgive me what is an unseemly display of emotion from a judge. We're supposed to be stoic. Not given to emotion, although those of you who have witnessed me calling young people to the bar, where's Angeline and Miss McLaughlin, those of you who have witnessed me admitting young people to the bar will have seen me cry from the bench, sharing in the delight of the parents and the children at their child's success, passing into a new world of law and of being lawyers themselves or parent lawyers. So yes, I am a softie. I've hidden it for years by barking at defendants. But old age is a way of mellowing you. Anywho, to get back to it. I want to express my extraordinary gratitude as well to our current Chief Justice until midnight, Sir Anthony, for the tremendous support. I hope I don't cry again, but for the tremendous support, mentorship, and friendship he has given me over the last 25 years. Well, I've been here as long as he has been the Chief Justice. I think he was appointed in June of '98, and I joined in September of '98, I think, as his first judicial appointment, or the magistrates then weren't considered judges. Oh, that was like a lead balloon. His support of me extended to the period, I would say, when I was in the wilderness, but that would be unkind. But to that period when I was in Turks and Caicos, his support remained. I would come home quite frequently, and the courthouse was my first stop. Sometimes it was my last stop. I would visit Sir Anthony, chief as he then was, and the court reporters, and spend my whole day here. And the support was consistent. He even gave me a free membership to the Cayman Islands Law Reports because we had so little access to law books in the Turks Islands. As I begin my journey, walking beside his enormous footsteps, because I will not try to follow in them, I am grateful that I can continue to count on his support. Might I just say, you've heard a few people speak today of my father. Some of you may know of him, but I will just say this. All my life, I walked in the shadow of my father. All my life. Even when I was being announced as Chief Justice of the Turks and Caicos Island, the first paragraph was that I was being appointed, and the next paragraph was I was a daughter of the legendary Ian Ramsey QC. And I fear that my tenure as Chief Justice will be the same. Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands. Her predecessor was Sir Anthony Smith. I look forward. And I bear him no ill will. He has been a mentor and a support, and he was my father's friend. I don't tell his story often, but I met Sir Anthony when I was 16. He had come to my father's office, and my father spoke of him to me after, and of his great admiration for this young prosecutor. He said he was a formidable opponent. If he had a case, you could not win, but he served in the highest traditions of the public bar. If he had a case that he could not win, he would not persist. He was the first to offer no further evidence when it became clear that the case was hopeless, and the first to win a case that was winnable on its merits. My father had a great affection for Tony, and it has certainly translated itself to me. I feel privileged in more ways than one to have served under his tutelage and guidance since 1998, and I am grateful that he brought me home in January of 2020. I shouldn't hold my face down. I believe my children are online. But I am finding it really hard to keep this together. Sir Anthony has made an extraordinary contribution to the development of Cayman's jurisprudence. You've heard that from the learned Attorney General. His judgments are models of clarity, his erudition, his fine turn of phrase, and his finer turn of mind on display in each. His contribution to Cayman's jurisprudence is to be considered in greater detail later this year at a conference to be hosted in his honor under the aegis of Mr. Justice Kawley, who is the head of the Judicial and Legal Training Institute, and Mr. Justice Siegel. It is proposed that papers will be submitted which review Sir Anthony's most notable judgments in a broad range of matters spanning constitutional and administrative law, criminal law, family law, civil practice and procedure, insolvency, commercial practice and procedure, tort, and trusts. We anticipate a good uptake from members of the bar, interesting comments on the submissions of the jurists who are submitting those papers, and many expressions of appreciation to Sir Anthony for his scholarship, his wisdom, and his stewardship of the Cayman Islands courts for the last 25 years as Chief Justice, longer than that as judge. It only remains for a date to be set and for you to be invited. One thing that Cayman can be proud of is that we have excellent judges, and that the decisions of our court are cited in many other jurisdictions, particularly in other overseas territories, and in those jurisdictions which have well-developed financial service sectors like our own. In fact, we consider our bench to be extraordinary. I believe Mr. Justice Kawley gave Sir Anthony the moniker Chief of Chiefs for being the only Chief Justice in the known world, unless you can find me a man from 1775. The only Chief Justice in the known world to have been a Chief Justice with 3 former Chief Justices on his bench, all of whom were proud, pleased, privileged to accept appointments here so they could work alongside him. If that is not a testament to the greatness, to the character of Sir Anthony, I do not know what is. Having said that, our judges are excellent and the judgments of our courts are of the highest quality, I think we can say from the brief but unfortunate hiatus between our entry into the well and the time I was able to take my oath, that there is much we can do to deliver services more effectively to the public. It may be something as installing a kiosk in every public library so that the person who does not otherwise have access to a computer can file their documents online or participate in a hearing remotely, which is an innovation which has been championed by Sir Anthony, to the more challenging task of becoming a court of excellence. In my tenure as Chief Justice, the goal of the Cayman Islands judiciary will be to establish a blueprint for court excellence. We will be adopting the International Framework for Court Excellence, which is in brief a quality management system designed to help courts improve their performance. This framework was developed by an international consortium consisting of groups and organizations from Europe, Asia, Australia, and the United States. The idea of achieving excellence through adopting performance standards and applying performance measures is not new. This is evidence-based work that we are about to embark upon, which we hope will be transformative in terms not of the work we do up there, but in terms of the service we deliver to the public and other court users. It is not new, but the time has come in the Cayman Islands. Now, I will enlarge on this at the opening ceremony of the court, which is when the judiciary, as a third branch of government, accounts to the people of the Cayman Islands by reviewing its performance for the year past and unveils its plans for the upcoming year and beyond. I have saved the most important thanks for the last, because I thought if I'd given them at the beginning, I would really not get through. So I want to say my biggest thanks, and I'm going to cry again, is to the people of these islands. The public response to my appointment has been nothing short of extraordinary. It has been warm. It has resonated with confidence. The only thing I hope is that I do not disappoint. I am so grateful for the people of Cayman for the way they have embraced the news of my appointment. And I can only repeat my oath, which is to serve the people of the Cayman Islands in the office of Chief Justice and do right to all manner of people according to the law without fear or favor, affection or ill will. I extend also thanks to my children, who, you may not know this, but in my early years on the bench in Jamaica, and I think here too, when I came to the summer court, were often late to return to school by 2 to 3 days, while I sat late hours trying to get baby money so that other children could go to school. My children will not say it because they are proud of me, but they too have worked hard and they have supported me all along the way. 2 more thanks to Raymond Alberga, who has, you knew my father from school in England, and who has always supported me. On my leaving Cayman in 2011, Raymond spoke from the well of the court, and he said he predicted for me the Court of Appeal. When I was appointed Chief Justice, I asked him if I disappointed. He said, no, Chief Justice was always what I predicted. Thank you very much, Raymond, for all you've done, for all the years you've done them, for me, for the Cayman Judiciary, for the Cayman Islands, for the Cayman Bar. And finally, to my better half, who has quietly suffered while I continued to give everything I had to the judiciary, and who suggested that being appointed Chief Justice might be just the best thing that happened to me, because I can now delegate some of my work. And I'm going to follow his sage advice. He didn't get where he is by not knowing how to delegate. I'm going to close the proceedings here. And thank you all very much for coming. Your support means the world to me. I read it as affection and not merely respect. And it is the affection that I appreciate the most. Thank you very much. And will you please join us in the foyer, I think sometimes called the gallery, for a repast. And we shall start to select the place where the portrait of Sir Anthony will next be hung. Next time. Thank you.